Hi there, everybody. Ginzburg here, and I'm very excited. I have a special guest today, Kate Buck Jr. here, and today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, something that I hear all the time, and I'm sure, Kate, you hear this all the time as well. Social media. One of the things, we keep pushing social media onto our people in our groups, entrepreneurs, our students. But a lot of times the feedback is, it's not clicking, it's not like I'm doing it, but it doesn't seem to be making sense or bringing people in. So tell us some recommendations on when that's happening.
Yeah, by the time somebody comes and wants to work with me, it's usually just this very thing. Like they know they should be using social media. They've read blog posts about it, watched videos on YouTube. Maybe they bought an ebook or a course or something, and they're doing all the things, right? They're posting on Instagram, or they're making the videos and posting them on their YouTube, or whatever it is that they feel like they've been told to do, and they've tried it and it's not working. And so then, they feel disappointed, or they feel like it's not going to work for them, or, lots of myriad of feelings of being disappointed with the fact that they've spent money or time or energy on social media and it's not working. And when I'm teaching this, or after having just completed in the last 2 years, I did 300 audits. So just quick story is I had an agency client that provides content marketing audits. And as an extension of content marketing, I worked with them to provide the social media audits. And so for their clients, and they have the opportunity to be in front of a very large audience every year at a conference that they put on. And so I had the opportunity to audit and create social media plans for 300 businesses. And during that time, I really figured out, I think, what is the missing link. And what I can say is that all the stuff that we're learning, for the most part, we're paying attention to the tactical approach to getting things done. If we just talked about Instagram, it would be like, people ask me questions like, how many times a day do I post? And what times a day do I post? And do I post a story, or do I post on my timeline? And how do I know what hashtags to use? And like, these sound like very should I be advertising on Instagram? Is Facebook dying? These are the types of questions, but they miss the point to me entirely of what it means to come up with a comprehensive strategy. So the implementation of a strategy looks very similar to a tactical plan, but it's very different in that when we're doing a strategy, we look at where you want to be, and then we look at where you are now, and we come up with the plan for how you're going to get there. And so along the way, all of those tactics apply. But in order to know which tactics to, I'll tell you that coming up with that comprehensive strategy is, first of all, the biggest mistake that I think people miss, people skip over, or they don't take the time to do. They want to get right into posting or tweeting or into the conversable. What are the people in my market that have the biggest social media following? What are they doing? What are the worst people in my market? What are they doing so that I can avoid those things, and putting it all together in a plan. So that's kind of number one. But that really says, okay, great. So, but if I were to do that, what would that look like? And so as we were prepping for this, I kind of talked about two different areas that I think that people struggle with when they are putting together their strategy. And the first one is content, right? And so most people are asking, what do I write about? How do I know what to write? And so once you kind of get a handle on keyword research and sort of how to know what your audience wants you to write about, and you create your content for them, right now, people are really resistant to creating it in the multimedia format. What I found is that even though people know they should be doing YouTube or a podcast or some kind of Facebook Live or some kind of media-rich content, because people feel like it takes a lot of time, or it takes a lot of energy, or it takes money because you got to have the lights and the cameras and the whatever, that people are avoiding doing it. But if you, again, do the research to see what types of content people are consuming the most, and look into your market, likely you're going to see that they are consuming media-rich content, which means whatever barrier you have to creating that content, in that way, you kind of have to deal with and get over, as quickly as you can. I don't know, I'll just kind of keep going. Once you're over that hurdle, right? So now you know what content to create, and you've gotten over the hurdle of creating it in a multimedia or media-rich formats. We have to distribute that content out to our audiences. And lots of folks are coming to me at a time where maybe they don't have a large audience yet, or maybe they don't even have an audience at all. And so how do you consistently get that content out in front of the right people? And this really does come down to pay to play. So as much as we love to talk about organic, and I mostly teach organic strategies, in the beginning, in order to ensure that our content is reaching our audience, we've got to use an advertising strategy. And I explain in my social strategist course that normally when you see a funnel, you see it with the largest at top, and those are your prospects, and then you show them more content and they like you more, so they become warm prospects or leads. And then at the end you have a customer, and then you have advocates, all of that. But in advertising, when you're paying money to put your content in front of an audience, you actually need to flip that funnel in reverse. And you want to start with your advocates and your customers and your prospects and your leads and your warm people already. And you want to make sure that they see every post that you make. We've all heard the advice that you need to be writing one blog post every week at least, or something like that. I know I've heard it a lot, maybe one a month, whatever, regular and consistent content, right?
I feel like now it should be like once per day almost.
It really, yeah, exactly.
In order to stand out, right, from the competition, because everybody's doing now one a week.
Yes, exactly. But one a day. But even still inside of one a day, anytime we're doing regular and consistent content, what I find is that people put out do a piece of content, share it once on social media, and then that's it. And then the next day or the next week, they create another piece of content, share it on social media. Maybe they email their newsletter subscribers also, and then they move on to the next piece of content, when that's absolutely not helpful to the business to keep churning content that way. If you put together a solid piece of content, you should be able to repurpose, especially when it's in a multimedia format, right? If it's a multimedia, I can upload long videos, short videos. I can strip out the audio and make a podcast. I can
create a blog.
I can create a blog post.
From the transcription?
Right, from the transcription. I can create those little quote cards with lines. I can tweet it, all the best posts. So you've just heard in what we've said that I've come up with 10 posts about the same piece of content. And if it's good content and it's like evergreen in nature, at least like for the time period that we're working in, you should be able to repurpose and reuse that content for, over and over to get the most eyeballs on it. So when you have a piece of pillar content, that's what I call it, you really try to milk as much out of it as you can. And another way to do that is to kind of create themes for yourself. So instead of just jumping all over the place in your content, if you have like a theme for the month. So I was giving the example of, I have a client that's a yoga teacher. And so every week she puts out a new video on yoga poses. And then that's leading to, she has like a community, an online community with exclusive content and videos and all kinds of things around health and wellness. But one week she's doing back pain, and the next week she's doing knees, and the next week and it's like she hasn't really given her audience time to really marinate and be immersed in the idea of the content that she's consuming. And so we've reworked it where she's now going to be doing a month on a single topic. And when you do it that way, you're talking about back pain for an entire month. Somebody who is suffering from back pain, you're giving them enough content to be able to work with it in different ways. And you're being able to re-put your offer or whatever in front of them that you might say, okay, if you do suffer with back pain, I have more videos on this behind my in my community, take a $1 trial and eliminate your back pain today. Or I have a challenge, a free challenge, right? Where we're going to eliminate back pain in 1 week or something like that. The themes allow you to do more with the content that you're creating. And I think we'd all like to be able to do more with the time and effort that we put into our content, into our work. So
absolutely. Yeah. Those are really important points.
Yeah. So I was just thinking like I would kind of summarize it because it feels a little bit to me like it might not be clear. The first thing is to get really clear on that content and make it like episodic in nature, make it consistent, like we say, but also think about all the ways that you can repurpose that out in social media. And you can post it more than once in more than one way. And you should do that. Don't worry about it being seen too much or anything like that. And there's lots of tools that I could tell you about to help you do that, but there's tools for scheduling and recycling good content. The second thing is then make sure that audience, your core audience, sees that content. So use advertising to make sure that your audience, your warm audiences and your most engaged audiences see that content. And then step 3 is finally the piece kind of everyone wants to get to in the beginning is now you have great content. You've ensured that your audience has seen that content. Now you can retarget that audience with your trials, with your tripwires, and with your offers, your invitations. I like to call them invitations. Whatever you want to invite them to, that's the time to invite them.
Or I guess you would call it also monetization, right? This would be the point where you're monetizing.
Exactly. And it's just like, we use the example a lot of dating, but it really just is like that. You have to really warm up that audience. You have to get to know them. They have to get to know you and trust that you really can help them. And once you do that with rich content, then it's only natural to invite them to take the next step. As a matter of fact, they might be hitting you up to say, hey, do you have a course or something on this? Like, how can you help me? Versus the other way around of feeling like you're always going Sunday, 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 Sunday to some audience that you picked out of an interest group. Like, oh, well, they live here and they like ice cream. And so I'm just going to show them, my ice cream.
That's not always very effective, right? It's kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, right? You really want to start with your most engaged audience, as you said, and then move down.
Flip the funnel, right? Flip it upside down, and make sure first that they see your content. So first, advertising is no monetization, only content.
Yep, and offer them something for free and give them value, right? Value, always.
Exactly. And then the second step is once they've seen 2 or 3 pieces of content, then you can retarget them with your monetization. And that's really like, to me, what I discovered after, again, doing those 300 audits, that if we could put this system into any business, that we can redefine their relationship with their digital marketing or their digital audiences, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's true. I think a lot of businesses, I'm sure, are impatient, and I've seen that as well. So they're like, when can I start making money? Instead of like, how do I nurture this relationship? And usually I love it when people want to come to me like a month, 2, 3 months in advance and say, hey, I've got something coming up. What can we do now? What we can do now is nurture that relationship so that we've got, or when someone comes to me and they have an audience right now, well, we start for the next month. Let's nurture back to life this audience that we have. And then in 30 days, in 60 days, we'll see a much more effective return on. I'm even guilty of this myself. So Black Friday, I decided at the last minute to come up with a new course. And I've sort of been doing client work. As I said, these 300 audits have kept me pretty busy. And so I haven't really been super active on a business level with my personal audience. And so even though I did, against my advice, just do the Sunday to get the course out there. And thankfully, audience loves me enough that I had enough sales. But now that that's over and Black Friday's over, we're going back. So we're taking I'm taking my own advice, and I'm going to be producing content, putting that in front of the audience, and then moving them into my monetization as step 3, literally step 3, not step 1. So absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your advice. This is amazing. this is something that everybody can go back to their business and start implementing today. So I really appreciate you being here. I know we're kind of running out of time, so thank you so much. Last question is, how can our audiences get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me on any platform as Kate Buck Jr. So I'm anywhere on that. And yeah, and the course is called Social Media Pro. So you just go to socialmediapro.com if you want to hear more about the course. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll have you on definitely in the future. Thanks for all your advice and your words of wisdom. So talk to you later.
Okay, bye.